Welcome to Chapter 10, Miscellaneous Grouping Functionality. So believe it or not, there's even more group by functionality that is possible. I know we've already covered 9 chapters on group by, and this is a 10th chapter, but there's just a couple more pieces of functionality I want to cover. So you can actually group by columns that do not appear in the data frame. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by this. So first I'm going to show the standard group by. So let's just say we want to group by gender, and we want to aggregate trip duration and find the mean. So this is how you would do that. Now you can assign the gender column or any of the columns to a series, right? We know how to do this. And then you can group by this column, bikes.group by. You can actually group by a series. This doesn't have to be a string or a list of strings. It can actually be a series. In this case, it does refer to a column in the data frame, but as I will show below, it could be another column from somewhere else. As long as it has the same values as the original, then it will work. So the syntax is the same, but I am grouping with a series here, not a string. So you should not, by the way, you should not do this, and this is just an example to show you that it does work, but you should choose this syntax over this one, just because this is just really the standard way and just easier to see what is happening. You don't need to assign the series to an intermediate variable. All right, so just to show you that it can be any other series, I'm going to create a series of just a bunch of fruits, but it's going to be the same length as the bikes data frame, so the same number of rows. So n over here is that. I'm going to sample this series so that I choose n. It has to be with replacement because this is only 5 values. This is setting the random state so everybody gets the same results. And so I get this series. So now I'm going to do bikes.group by this s fruits series, and then aggregate trip duration, and then do dot mean like this. So wherever there is an apple, right, it'll treat that as a group. So it's not using any columns in the original data frame. We're just creating a new column over here, or a new series, and grouping by that series. So that's pretty interesting. You can group by something that's not a part of your data frame. Now you can mix this grouping. So say you want to group by both the fruit series and gender. That's definitely possible. So you can just put it in a list just like anything else. Now this is obviously not just making up data is not a common use case, but what is a common use case is to bin data without actually assigning it to a variable. So let's bin temperature. So we'll say temp, let's call it, we'll do pd.qcut. So we'll quantile cut temperature in 10 equally sized bins like this. All right, so there's our series of data, right? So we have this. Now we can use group by, instead of assigning this to a column, so instead of changing our data frame, that's what we did last time, we can just group by this series instead and take an aggregation like this. So this is possible as well. All right, so that's pretty cool. The other thing is you can use this in pivot tables, right? So I think we've seen that before. Bikes.pivot table index equals gender, columns equals this temp, values equals trip duration, agfunc, we'll just take the mean again. So this is actually what we did in the previous one. So you can just make them, you can just put this series, it's not attached to the data frame, right? We just created it, and now we're using this in the group by because it's just like a column in the data frame. It's just not actually attached to the data frame. All right, so hopefully now you understand how you can group by columns that are not in the data frame.